1, 2, 3, 4! From the Riffs! Hey, I'm Big Will Johnson, and this is From the Riffs. We got Carmen Belair. Hey. And we're talking to Big Steve Dawes. This is day 2 at the Palladium Open House. We've been going crazy. It's been awesome. And we try to get to know some of the Palladium writers and artists a little better. And Big Steve Dawes happens to be the BTS writer. So, tell me more about yourself, man.
I'm from Omaha, Nebraska. I got involved in writing about 5-6 years ago, almost by accident. When the second BTS book was released, I basically totally jumped ship and went into it, and I turned out by luck. I was the first one to actually post in the LazloSociety.org site that Wayne had designed. And after we talked a little bit, he asked if I could write something for the Rifter for an upcoming segment of the BTS sequel, Tomb Grotesque, and I'd never written anything before, and on a shot I took it, and come to realize they liked it so much they printed it, and I enjoyed it so much I've been going ever since. So it's like 9 Rifters later, a small spot in one of the Dead Rain books, and I got a couple of source books for BTS on the way since.
Alright, now, for those of you who are like BTS, it's beyond the supernatural. And, man, I had the pleasure of actually playing in a game today, which I had to quit for you people. That's right, so I could do some interviews. And, I gotta tell you, man, you can tell that this guy is really passionate about his stuff. It was creepy and it was awesome, and it's not too often I get that kind of feeling when I'm role playing. So it was really cool, by the way.
Thank you.
So being that you do all the creepy and the paranormal stuff, I want to know what gets you into the zone, man. Like what is it that makes you want to? What inspires you? I mean, you can even tell us what inspired you to write in the beginning, but I mean, I want to know like what really gets you to be able to write the creepy stuff that you do, and you know the intro. Even I would even just say creepy.
I grew up a really big fan of the supernatural and paranormal related subjects to begin with, so really a lot of that second nature. As far as my writing goes, really my best inspirations go into when I'm creating a campaign or an adventure of some sort in my game, and I need to put a monster in. And come to find out, what's on hand is not really fitting what I'm looking for. So really, a lot of my creation is just inspired by there's a hole I need to fill. Wow. And again, from there, it's just a matter of what is it that makes creepy aspects that would work with this thing. It's not enough that you could put in like shape changing sentry. One of my favorite creations is a sentry gnome guard like thing that lives in suburbia, and it can hide in plain sight for its masters who live in suburbia. But it's not enough just to make them like shape changing. I also have it to where when they do shape change, their natural form is like more gargoyle, hideous looking. It also brings out, they do things like claws and telekinetically get in touch with their masters. Anything I can do that kind of adds both a creep and unexpected factor, since the unexpected rules in BTS.
That is pretty creepy and unexpected. Is that the one you were pointing out that was drawn by the Mannings?
Yeah, drawn by the Manning brothers. Yeah, look for the creepy gnome in Rifter number 46, and you'll know what we're talking about.
All right, yeah, thanks, man. So, also, I want to know, what's your working process like? Do you, are you a daytime guy, a nighttime guy?
I'm actually a night owl by nature, and yeah, the majority of my writing, where I can get it, I will go into the wee early hours, and I love soundtrack music. Similar like how Kevin, I noticed I was admiring his soundtrack collection.
Which is
we have a lot of them in common, and I got a pretty sizable collection myself. So I have a real hard time writing with songs that have like words in them, because I don't know what it is. It's like I just hear the words and I can't help but listen, and I'm not writing anymore. And so soundtracks, they help me focus, especially ones that are more fitting, to like various horror soundtracks. My current favorite is like from that recently released Insidious movie. It has a great soundtrack to write to for creepy material.
Oh yeah,
recommend it highly.
Tiptoe through the tulips.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Very cool. So, would you have any advice for would-be writers who are looking to maybe either write for Palladium, or even to just try to get into the Rifter mostly, because I know that's kind of like, that's boot camp for Palladium staff, right?
And yeah, it really is. And it's funny because I look back on where my stuff, or my old stuff, I look at it between then and now, and I realize, God, I was terrible back then. But really, the best advice I would state is, really know what it is that you're trying to write for it. And honestly, while sometimes I do try to write, thematic elements, and like I like to include small intros that kind of help fit the theme, the drama of what I'm going for. But really, the meat of what it all comes into, especially with BTS creatures, if that's going to be your thing, really get to understand, how the anchor system works with supernatural creatures in BTS, because it's all about, the creatures can't exist in our plane unless they're attached to something, whether if it's animals or bugs. There's some creatures that are built completely out of insects. If that's your anchor, stick with it. That also goes into the discorporations when they die. Understand those things. Know what it is that you want this creature to do. Is it, is it there to be like muscle? Is it a predator? Is it, is it a mischievous creature? Once you have those down, really a lot of it just comes into think about what aspects of this thing might be new and different. And I would almost state, if you can help it, do not open the books to the other stuff to thumb through it if you can help it. I kind of feel that leads to creating too much of what you're seeing in the other books. Just really sit and think about, if this thing was put into an underground setting, what cool features could it make use of? If this thing was in like modern suburbia's backyard, what could it what neat stuff could it do there? If it has a master, what kind of offering does it provide for him? Is it a good magical backing? Is it more like a bodyguard? Is it an assassin? Figure those things out. And really from there, once you have it, it almost starts writing itself. Then once you have the main ideas, I encourage from there you're going to want to, then you can start looking into the book, if nothing else, just to kind of compare stats. So if you have a small creature, look for smaller creatures and decide, is the strength going to be similar to this or a little more? From there, the fine-tuning comes in after you have the meat of the creatures.
Cool. Very cool. Very in-depth as well.
Thank you.
So, being that you are the horror creepy guy, I don't know if you want to take that as a compliment.
Hey, that is pure compliment.
Tell me, favorite horror movie?
Oh, man.
See, this one gets them every time.
Well, honestly,
I got Taylor with this question too.
I do have a whole lot of them that go left and right, but if I was to have to pick one off the top of my head now, I've always been a huge fan of ghost stories. And one of my absolute favorites to this day is The Changeling, which, in the late 70s, starring George C. Scott. It basically almost everything that I really state, it has every earmark of a good ghost story. I mean, it's got the mystery, it's got the story behind it. Too many ghost stories these days really go into like the bizarre, freaky nature of the ghost itself, and they're really missing on the fact of why is this ghost here? What's well, like BTS, what's anchoring it here, and and how do they go about solving it? And more often than not, it's a murder mystery, or there's a story that this ghost is trying to tell, but as ghosts do not have the same functions and finalities that we as humans do, a lot of their stuff comes off as misunderstood, or just, it just leads us into directions that wouldn't be expected. But The Changeling, which, I saw that the first time when I was about 7 or 8 years old, because my parents are awesome like that, and I don't think I slept for about a week. And as I've gotten older, it's still just as terrifying to me, where other stuff I used to love as a kid hasn't held up. And I've come to find out that this, basically, it knows how to be creepy without being creepy. It doesn't try, and it succeeds. And that's the stuff that lasts with me the longest. I mean, everything from the unexplained questions to, the realizations of what horrible things happened to the entity that put him into the situation he's at. And so that one I would label my all-time favorite.
Oh, okay, man. All right.
If you haven't seen it and you love ghost stories, you got to see it. The Changeling. It's awesome.
It will make you appreciate BTS that much more. All right. On a bit of a final note, what would you say is the best part about being, with Palladium?
Honestly, I've been a fan of Palladium and running their games for like the last 20 years. And honestly, I would say for the last 20 years of all my collecting, all the quality has always been excellent. Everything about it, all the books continue to inspire and come up with great ideas. And BTS in particular, where I decided I wanted to be my niche. There's nothing like it else out there. I mean, there is other horror games, but BTS has its own feel and flair, and there's just nothing like it. There's an adventure around every corner.
That's very true. I can definitely thumbs up that one. All right, man. Well, it's a pleasure.
Same
I'm
here.
so glad you were able to join us
I'm glad
Big
I could make
Dawes. That's what I'm calling you, Big Dawes.
Big
This
Dawes.
guy, tell you, if you can ever make it out to an open house and be a part of a game that this guy runs, I highly recommend it. And I'm hoping maybe I can get in another game with you. All right, so I'm Big Will Johnson. Behind the camera, we got Carmen Belair and
Steve Dawes.
Steve
Big
Dawes.
Steve.
Big Steve. All right. So, guys, remember, please click on the adverts. You know, we really want to keep bringing this stuff to you. And also, keep in mind, we're going to be on the Palladium forum, so you guys will be able to get in touch with us that way, as well as, if you want to email me, it's bigwill@gmail.com. Talk to you later.